to the Hello Neighbor show right here on Politics Matter Jamaica. Tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about land reform and show you the absurdity of some arguments that are being made by the People's National Party as they try to misrepresent and spin what is happening over there in Cooper's Pen. But before I do that, ever since George Davis was nominated, or is nominated or selected for a national award, he has come under tremendous pressure. And I see George Davis today having to come out to defend himself. And, the ball game of politics is really at play in Jamaica, And I told you last night that it's going to be a dogfight up until 2030. But that the government of Jamaica cannot afford to be distracted. The Jamaica, right as we speak, the PNP is having a town hall meeting over there in Hanover. The leader of the opposition, Mr. Mark Golding, is in Hanover at a town hall meeting. Just less than 1 year into the term of the administration, and we are already feeling like we are in a fierce election battle. The government of Jamaica can't be distracted by all of this. Some of it, you have to leave it to the online people. But listen to George Davis as he took them on this morning in quite a takedown.
People, including some. Can you tell me why people, including some of little intellect, mental midgets,
he calls them mental midgets. That's so funny. He calls them mental midgets. That's the PNP bloggers. They are mental midgets. Listen again.
Tell me why people, including some of little intellect, mental midgets,
that's so funny,
prostitutes for attention, would clip the segment of the program where I was saying to Nora about Kukudu. So, boy, if Kukudu were here, he would have remixed King David to say, see people and leave it alone. Click that and said that look at OD. And by the way, you got that wrong. It's CD. Thank you. Look at so-and-so laughing at people in Cooper's Pen. That's what has been clipped and put in the videos and the posts. And obviously, I'm not going to respond to certain people because real people respect me. Irrelevant people want beef because they know that's the only way we are ever going to speak.
You hear that? That's very important, You cannot afford to be distracted by the mental midgets prostituting themselves. I did not realize, you see, that for some people, this is a money them a look. I just money them a look. And some of them what you hear out there talking for Labour Party, they're not Labour rights, you know. And some of them that you hear blogging for PNP, they're not PNP, you know. As George says, they're prostitutes. I sell them a sell. It's all about likes and clicks and all of that. You can't afford to just to take them on, you know. From time to time, I hear them calling my. I don't even pay them mind.
But I was compelled to respond because of two things. One, an elected representative posted a graphic saying just that look at so and so laughing at the people of Cooper's Point. It was as specific as that. She posted that, the MP for South St. James, Miss Burchell, posted that. And I said, well, of course, Miss Burchell deserves a response because she's an elected representative, so I can respond to her. That's no problem. She's worthy of the response. The others looking for attention, I'm sorry, no. And I was even, in two minds about that because I'm saying, it's a matter of record what you've said about Cooper Spring and how you've asked people to empathize morning after morning. Even when the people call in during the calling segments and say, boy, I'm not sorry for them. You've said, no, you can't look at it like that. And go into detail as to why it is not the best use of the qualities bestowed upon us as human beings to look at the plight of other human beings and come away with a hard heart hardened against their plight. It's not a good thing to do. I've done that consistently. But even so, I was thinking, leave Miss Burchell's comments alone because, maybe someone gave her bad information because she doesn't listen to this program or programs on this station, so she wouldn't know. So I was saying, all right, Miss Burchell, you were given bad information and you made a post that was misleading, but it's all right, and leave it alone. But then, driving in, very good friend of mine, educator from Trelawney, who revealed to me that he himself grew up on captured land when his father mashed up the family and kicked him and his mother and his siblings out of the house, and they had to find somewhere to go. And that's where she ended up, and she raised them well, and he is a credit to this country. This high school teacher, football coach, a fine man from Trelawney. Uses initials as DJ. Fine man. And he said someone sent the clip to him, inviting him to condemn me for those views, just on the strength of the clip alone. And he was saying to himself, boy, no, man, I have to call George and tell him, boy, this is wrong. But then he said to himself that, boy, no, man, but the man I know is not this kind of man. So he sent it to me and I said, Redrin, somebody sent me this, how this go? I want to see the full thing. He said, I want to see the full thing because I'm not going to believe what this clip is suggesting your attitude to the Cooper's Pen people is. And I explained to him, and he said, oh, thank God. Because I no, said, no, sir, you. And he understood exactly what I was doing, what I did, and he said,
anyway, all right. So, if Mark Golding were Prime Minister, Andre Stevens would have gotten a national award. Andre Stevens. I would not listen to Mr. Stevens. But if Mark Golding were Prime Minister, Andre Stevens would have gotten a national award. But the PNP is against George Davis because George Davis gets a national award. Emily Crooks Shields got a national award last year, and the PNP didn't attack her. But George Davis mustn't get no award because somehow George Davis speaks the truth. If you speak the truth in this country, you are going to be hated by the comrades. And those who the comrades can capture become enemies. But I would encourage my friend George to stay focused, because you didn't get a national award by responding to folly. You got a national award for excelling at your craft and for speaking truth to power. Stay on that path. Okay? Enough on that. I saw the clip all over the place with George, and it is quite despicable. Here is a little bit of it. A little bit of that. Listen to it.
You are a scumbag.
Well, let's not play that part of it. The names that they are calling him.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at this video.
Like, we need to, it's a pity Kukudu transition, you know, Nora. Because we could get Kukudu to remix the song. See people learn and leave it alone. Hallelujah. Hi.
Well, Pelucid Perry is one of them that is trying to tear down George.
The opposition leader has displayed.
The Jamaica Labour Party Senator Apka Fitzhenley says that the PNP President Mark Golding was weak leadership and failing to respond strongly to downright shameful, inappropriate statement made by two senior members of the party. Here is Senator Fitzhenley from the Jamaica Labour Party.
Weak leadership and failed to strongly deal with downright shameful and inappropriate comments made by two senior members of his party. It is unacceptable that the opposition leader has not addressed comments made by a spokesman on human rights, who encouraged people in Trelawney to pretend they suffered property damage in order to benefit from taxpayer-funded houses. It is also not acceptable that the opposition leader commented on the issue, but failed to strongly condemn comments made by a PNP councillor who is a member of the PNP executive, who admitted that the PNP will probably use delay tactics to stop projects under NARA. Now, lest we forget, NARA is intended to help Jamaicans to recover more quickly and stronger from the massive impact of Hurricane Melissa, which wiped out 56% of GDP. It is unacceptable that the opposition leader has not seen it fit to at minimum condemn those two comments. It shows that the opposition leader is a politician who acts only when it's convenient for him to do so, and that's not good leadership. It must be said, the Jamaica Labour Party is fully committed to enforcement of the law and does not encourage people to abide by a philosophy where it's okay to trick the state in order to obtain benefits. It's also worth noting that despite the inappropriate delay tactics of the PNP, the governing Jamaica Labour Party is committed to assisting Jamaicans to recover as quickly as possible from the massive setback caused by Hurricane Melissa. The opposition leader has displayed weak leadership and failed to strongly deal with downright shame.
There you have it. That's the Labour Party suggesting that Mark Golding is displaying weak leadership. I want to say to the party that I commend you for the press statements, but you need to do press videos. Press statements only go this far. Move now to doing press videos. You must put out videos about what you are saying. The press statements don't work as effective as press videos. All right? Just a little caution to the party there that the people of Jamaica prefer to watch things, okay, more than to listen to things. We do not do well in listening, but we do better in talking. Now, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says Jamaica's participation in the Americas counter-cartel coalition will keep the country safe. You recall last night, the lady that does the Run in Africa program in IRFM was talking about this new security arrangement that Jamaica signed. Here is Dr. Chang is saying that the coalition is the operational arm of the United States Shield of the Americas initiative, launched in Florida by President Donald Trump in March this year. And so Jamaica is participating in that. All right?
Partnership to cripple narco terrorists that transit.
Here is Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense or Secretary of War.
I want to thank Jamaica for working with the Department of War to create a new military partnership to cripple narco terrorists that transit through the Caribbean. This partnership will forever change the security environment of the Caribbean. Aggressive and concrete steps like these exemplify the types of active participation, operationally focused, we want to see from our partners that will make the ACCC a potent and lethal coalition.
There you have it, a response from the Minister of National Security and Peace. Now, let's go to the spotlight tonight. I'm going to play 2 pieces of tape for you. I know you don't like listening to the PNP, but if I am going to have to deal with them, then I have to play them. The first is from Miss Duncan Sutherland. Listen to Miss Duncan Sutherland. And I'm going to tell you tonight that the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party are different. Cooper Spen is demonstrating that there is a philosophical difference between the governing JLP and the People's National Party. The PNP have not really changed, you know. It's the same old thinking. It's the same old comrades them. And you know, I was prepared to listen to Mr. Crawford. There was a time when Mr. Crawford, in my view, represented a fresh thinking. But I heard Mr. Crawford and I say to myself, may God help the PNP. Because Mr. Crawford is out of the same old comrade book. Listen to Miss Duncan Sutherland as she made some comments.
So, last week I wore my Jamaica Nice shirt because we're celebrating. But this week, after wearing my stand.
Move it up. Duncan Sutherland, go ahead. Let's see if we can hear a little bit more from her. Okay, so
to the people, even some in Trelawney, who are homeless as a result of Hurricane Melissa. That is really just poor management and unacceptable. And really, the people of Trelawney deserve an apology for that. And the people of Cooper Spen deserve an apology. And this government has a responsibility to relocate these people now. But then let's look at the wider picture. 600,000 Jamaicans living in formal settlements. And we have to ask ourselves, these people living in formal settlements just because they are terrible and lazy people? I don't think so. When plantation owners came to Jamaica, the Crown gave them the lands to farm. When slavery was abolished, they left them with the land and paid them for the slaves. But descendants of slaves got nothing. I believe it is reasonable for descendants of slaves to get crown lands. And I'm saying,
all right, you hear that? That's Miss Duncan Sutherland, president of the People's National Party Women's Movement. I believe that descendants of slaves must get crown land. Crown land is government land. Government is a crown. In other words, the land belongs to the people of Jamaica. And Ms. Duncan Sutherland is saying the people must get the land, get it for free. Don't want to misquote her, so let's play her again.
but descendants of slaves got nothing. I believe it is reasonable for descendants of slaves to get crown lands. And I'm saying get crown lands.
All right.
In it-
So she doubles down on it so that you are clear. Get it. I believe that descendants of slaves must get crown land. Now, when you listen to the People's National Party, 600,000 Jamaicans are living on land don't belong to them. That message to those 600,000 is clear. Vote PNP because our policy is you will get the land. Sound nice, eh? I believe descendants of slaves must get crown land. So then, all of the people in Jamaica, most of us are descendants of slaves. How much land in Jamaica? We cut up and the all with peace. Let's hear a little bit more from Patricia Duncan Sutherland. And Mrs. Sutherland, if you are listening and you want to clarify or discuss this matter with us, we'll be more than happy to have you. Go ahead with her.
Same way that plantation owners got it. And this was what Operation Pride was about. Because we have all of these informal settlements.
Let me pause there. Operation Pride was a scandal. Not a good reference, ma'am. Operation Pride was a monumental scandal.
That came about because we had a lot of persons who are in poverty coming out of slavery and had nowhere to go. Operation Pride was about how we regularize these informal settlements and create some other communities that persons could begin to own a piece of Jamaica. It had problems, but we shouldn't have thrown out the baby with the bathwater. So I put it to you, every Jamaican who is not currently a landowner.
Listen carefully. Every Jamaican who is not currently a landowner, including me, because I don't own no land, including me,
should be given 1/8 of an acre.
should be given 1/8 of an acre of land. Every Jamaican, including me, I don't know how many of you are listening to me here, own land. Miss Duncan Sutherland is suggesting that every Jamaican that is not a landowner be given 1/8 of an acre of land. I want a drink. I need something strong to drink because I cannot believe my ears. I cannot believe what I'm hearing here. that in 2026, someone aspiring for political office could be suggesting that more than 600,000 Jamaicans be given 1/8 of an acre of land. What a poverty country would that create? And I will show it to you.
As a start.
As a start.
And we must put the infrastructure.
As a start.
Into these communities for them to be able to change their life and to live with dignity in shelter that is secure. And so I say to you, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, you are the Minister of Land. You are in charge of NHT. This is something that you must fix. This is something that we must deal with now. Let us work together and make this happen. There are many politics.
If the Prime Minister ever start cut up Jamaican land and give Jamaican people, you will know what happened on the Hello Neighbor show. Anyway, Prime Minister is a thoughtful man. Anyway, that's Miss Duncan Sutherland. Duncan Sutherland said, every Jamaican that don't have no land must be given 1/8 of an acre of land as a start. So then, line up Jamaica, because you soon get land. The aspiring leader of the PNP, Mr. Damian Crawford, weighed in on this, and he was no better, which is why I tell you the PNP, they're all the same. And what a disappointment from Mr. Crawford, because, you know, I don't know. I don't know if Mr. Crawford is really interested in becoming the leader of the PNP, you know. But Mr. Crawford, I thought you were a thoughtful man. I never know that you participated in theatrical, you know. Listen to Mr. Crawford.
Based on the realities of now, to give access to land. A lot of people in Portland would have benefited from land lease. I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride. And so when I look at all that is happening now, at the policies of the people.
Well, I wonder how Mr. Crawford benefited from Operation Pride. I myself, he said, would have benefited from Operation Pride. How? How did Mr. Crawford benefit from Operation Pride? Well, how? I think we need to check on that. Anyway, listen to him. Very important. Mr. Crawford is aspiring to be the leader of the People's National Party. Mr. Crawford could become the next leader of the opposition. It is important that we interrogate Mr. Crawford's thinking. Jamaica is a democracy. You and I may not live to see it happen, or may not want it to happen. But the fact of the matter is that if he becomes opposition leader, he is the alternative prime minister. And that means that Mr. Crawford could one day become prime minister of Jamaica. Listen to him. Don't turn off. Listen to him. You must know what you think, the thinking of the people who aspire to lead you. What them thinking is like. Thinking make it a man. The Bible says, so a man thinketh. So is he. So a man thinketh. Mr. Patterson gave a very good piece of advice, you know. Mr. Patterson said, you have to think before you talk, because once you talk, you can't take it back. Go ahead with Crawford.
National Party being continued. more persons would have had legitimate access to land.
If the party, the tape is a little blurry. If the People's National Party had continued, more people would have had access to land. That's what Mr. Crawford is saying. Remember what Ms. Duncan said. She believes that every Jamaican who no have no land must get 1/8 of an acre of the land. I don't know where we are going to get so much land figure in Jamaica, but according to Ms. Duncan Sutherland, if you don't have no land, you are to get 1/8 of an acre of land. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but you forget it.
So they say 700,000 Jamaicans are now term squatters in the only country that can deport you. Meditate, man. Even the fox have a den and the bird have a nest. And in our country,
I see somebody in the chat saying nothing wrong with Crawford. What Crawford said. Stay in the class. If you're here to learn, stay in the class. And I will show you that if Jamaica cuts up land and give away, poverty will be upon Jamaica. Poverty will be upon Jamaica. Crawford and Miss Duncan Sutherland don't know what they're talking about. Maybe they know, but it is politically convenient to say it.
there is a disregard for people who can't legitimately afford adequate housing. If we do the assessment,
Well, I don't know where that disregard is coming from. What I know is that the People's National Party have perpetuated living conditions that are subhuman for years because it benefits them politically. I was introduced on this program to what is called parachute, where Jamaicans defecate in scandal bags and wheel them across gullies. And those communities are predominantly occupied by comrades. That's not propaganda. The people in Westmoreland did not stay in those conditions because they wanted to. The lady who called Emily Shields on the hotline, Donga Cooper's Penya, said that a politician tricked the people into staying on the land for political reasons. And what are those political reasons? To secure votes so that the party could remain in power. Mr. Crawford, you want to lead Jamaica? And this is how you think? Nothing transformational?
the only 3 legal ways, as is available now, to own a home is to inherit it. That means you are a rich parent or sufficiently wealthy parent.
Well done.
Is to buy it,
Yeah,
especially like a through a mortgage, or to rent it. We have inherited. We have 500.
No, caller. I don't win nothing. I don't win nothing. Education in Jamaica prepares students to pass exam. It don't prepare them to think. We train our children to swat and pass subjects. That's not education, you know. You can be literate and you're not educated. Education is to move from a simple mind to a logical mind. What if I tell you that you have 5 senses and you mustn't trust them? It is not your senses that you use to make decisions necessarily, you know. But that's how they train people to make decisions based on what they see, what they smell, what they taste, what they hear, and what they feel. That's why we're in the mess we are. That's why I don't do debates. I don't do debates, you know. If you want to have a conversation with me, fine, but I'm not debating you. Because when you come to a conversation with a cognitive bias, I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my time. I thank God for these microphones. So you can listen if you want. If you don't want to listen, you move along. But I know that what I'm saying here is unchallenged because I back it up with facts and research.
Most Jamaicans living below the poverty line. It's not my numbers, it's static. And below the poverty line is $280 a day. Which $280 a day can pay rent? Which $280 a day can pay mortgage? Which $280 a day would have inherited something from his mother?
That's right.
And so they said, of all the lands that are occupied, 37% have a title. The vast majority don't have a title. And so we reach to today where failure of policy has caused for people to be mistreated.
For respect.
And I hear they say, oh, it's not government. You have to finish the statement by saying it's not government this time. Because on multiple occasions, the government set the example for this man of how to treat with lands that you want. Don't forget Bernard Lodge, where they went and lit down people's house. Don't forget Clifton.
My property is over there.
Don't forget in my own constituency, in Widersville, they sent a notice of demolition. And the Minister of Information at the time, Mr. Morgan, said something like, I must be the joke or the test them a test already. Some madness like that. But we reach to know. Some people buy a piece of land for business, 1,000 acres. At the time of buying the land, there was no development happening, so people never gravitate to the area in Sri Lanka. Don't forget, and I don't understand how North Sri Lanka have such short memory, that before the PMP invested in North Sri Lanka with the pier, before PMP invested, pillows sent for them picnics, sent for them father. But we go on like that same person was just worthless and never want to work in Jamaica.
All right. Let's move on from that a little bit. Let's move on from that. And I want you to bear with me tonight because the people of Jamaica need to be spoken to about this. Miss Duncan Sutherland made a provocative argument in relation to Hooper's pen. It is important to understand the history of land slavery and the politics of dependency. Land, slavery, and the politics of dependency. There is an historical truth in Miss Duncan Sutherland's argument. There is an historical truth there. But there is an important distinction to be made. Listen carefully. After emancipation, the formerly enslaved did not suddenly enter a society of equal economic opportunity. Follow me carefully. The slaves did not come into the Jamaican society with equal economic opportunity. Access to land was severely constrained. The National Library of Jamaica documents how large landowners resisted the development of an independent Black community. They placed restrictions on Crown land access. It is a fact that Black people were not allowed to have land. Remember, 300 years of enslavement. Jamaica got independence in 1962. That is 64 years ago. So let's not pretend that history does not matter. It matters enormously. But the fact that history explains part of our inequality does not automatically tell us what Jamaica should do today. And this is where both Mr. Crawford and Miss Duncan Sutherland, this is where their arguments are weak. And I'm going to give you an example to show you that Duncan Sutherland and Crawford and the PNP are in problem. Imagine that your grandfather was robbed. And when they robbed him, they took away his farm. And his children grew up poor because of that. That is injustice. You agree with that? It is. But 64 years later, what exactly is justice? Is justice simply finding another farm and give it to you? To compensate for the injustice done to your grandfather, must the government take away a man piece of land and give to you? Is that justice? Or is justice creating a society in which you and your children have the education, the capital, the skills, the credit, and the opportunity to acquire and create wealth yourself? See if you understand the philosophical difference between the Labour Party and the People's National Party. The Labour Party is speaking about empowering the individual, so that the individual is emancipated, economically emancipated. For that is freedom. Not to be given 1/8 of an acre of land. That is a reintroduction of enslavement. The fact is that if you are educated, you don't buy 1/8 of an acre of land. You buy 2 or 3 acres. Those are two very different ideas of emancipation. And I am shocked to hear a man like Mr. Crawford espousing this nonsense. Because one idea says, give me an asset. The other idea says, give me the capacity to create assets. There is a difference, Mr. Crawford and Ms. Sutherland, between asset, T, and assets with S. What you are creating is an asset. What the people need are assets. And I believe Jamaica needs to be more ambitious than simply talking about redistributing land. It's a flawed policy. And this is where the economic question becomes critical. You know, there is a famous proposition in political economy that says the way human beings organize themselves to produce the means of their subsistence forms the foundation of society. You could quote it like this: how men organize to produce the means of their subsistence constitutes the fundamentals of society. And that's the point I want to bring into Cooper's pen. A society cannot become prosperous simply by redistributing what already exists. If you distribute the land, you are going to make the society poorer. I want to repeat that. A society cannot become prosperous simply by redistributing what already exists. Listen to me carefully. The government can print money. The government can print money. And if the government prints money and give $5 million to the 600,000 people, it does not make the Jamaica any wealthier or better. As a matter of fact, it would make many of them worse. A society cannot become prosperous by distributing or redistributing what already exists. At some point, we have to produce. It is how men organize to produce the means. We have to grow food, build houses, create businesses, manufacture, export, develop technology, educate, invest, train, create capital. Because if we don't increase production, we eventually end up fighting over the distribution of a very small pie. Jamaica land mass. You know that Cuba is 10 times the size of Jamaica. We're going to take in some of the sea. We're going to take in some of the sea. What's wrong with these people, man? And that is my concern with the political conversation around Cooper's Pen. We are talking endlessly about who should get land. We aren't talking enough about what will people do with the land. You're going to give 1/8 of an acre to 600,000 people. What am I going to do with the land? Because land is capital. It is an asset. Anyway, let's say the government gives 10,000 Jamaicans a piece of land. Let's say the government gives the 600,000 people piece of land. Wonderful. Eh? What happens next? Then get a piece of land. They need roads. They need water. They need electricity. They need schools. They need credit. They need technical knowledge. They need equipment, markets, title, insurance. And they need an economy that allows that land to generate income. Otherwise, what we have done is that we may have transferred an asset without creating a productive capacity. We have distributed land without creating wealth. And that's not emancipation. That's potentially just a form of dependency. The argument being put forward by the PNP is a dependency mindset. It is pauperized people that you're going to create. You know, there is an old adage which says that you teach a man to fish. You know, that is not that is kind of flawed, you know. It's called the fishing rod problem. The fishing rod problem. You ever hear about it? People often say, give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. But if you teach him to fish, you feed him for life. That there's a problem there, and I show it to you. Suppose you teach him to fish. You still need to give him a fishing rod. He may need a boat. If he gets a boat, he's going to need fuel. He needs somewhere to sell the fish. He needs somewhere to store the fish, so he needs refrigeration. He needs roads to drive. He needs access to finance. He needs a functioning market. That's what economic development does. Economic development creates the ecosystem of production. And without the ecosystem of production, the man is going to remain poor even if you teach him to fish. That is why heart can't stand on its own, you know. For heart to really be heart, it has to be formed in an ecosystem of production. You can't train people and you don't create the capacity for them to use the knowledge to help themselves. So when we talk about land reform, I'm not against that, because I think Jamaica desperately needs land reform. But land reform must be about ownership, productivity, and economic independence, not merely political distribution. What you are hearing coming out of Mr. Crawford and Miss Duncan Sutherland is political distribution, and political distribution of land win you votes, but it pauperizes the country. And that is why the Prime Minister of Jamaica, in my view, is vastly better than any of these. Prime Minister Holness, guys, let us be reasonable and fair here. I beg you, take off your political caps and listen. If you do not improve productivity and economic independence, what you are creating are political dependence. And that keeps the society poor. Prime Minister Dr. Holness is vastly superior to Crawford in his thinking. Mr. Crawford's thinking is not properly developed. His thinking is developing, not developed yet. And you can't put the country. I don't think it will be good to put. I don't even know if it would be good to put the party in Mr. Crawford's hand, based on listening to Mr. Crawford. Mr. Crawford does not understand how a society develops. He doesn't. And I'm disappointed in you. Damien, I really am. I thought you were a man of great intellectual, astuteness, that you could think things through a bit more rather than talking about giving away land. Now, if I may give you a little piece of history. After emancipation, you see, free villages emerged precisely because formerly enslaved Jamaicans desperately wanted land independence. Some communities were established through missionaries. The missionaries purchased the land and they subdivided it into lots for the former slaves. That's why you have all of these communities in Jamaica with all of these British names. The Jamaican black man, poor black man, he grew despite enormous obstacles. When I was growing up, my mother used to throw a partner, and she used to raise one little hog. Pig. My mother used to throw one little partner and raise one little pig. And every time the pig was for my school fee, I used to go to Homewood. So she had to throw the little partner, raise the little pig, so that just as the time come around for the school fee to pay, the hog sell. The Jamaican people don't need pity, It's pity the PNP, I pity them. I've talked about give them 1/8 of an acre of land. I pity that. And this is how you create the classist society. This is how you create the inequities in the society. When you return the society to pre-independence, you're not helping people like that, I don't think you should give your children anything, really. Even if you are wealthy. Don't just give it to them. If you can afford it, let them earn it. When you earn something, you value it more, You give them. As a matter of fact, if you should give the 600,000 people Jamaican land, I bet you say in 1 year time, the most of them sell it and go back and go back to squat. If you give them the land, in 1 year time, they sell the land. What you need is emancipation. Comrades. Shame on the PNP. No. Our minds need to be emancipated. I'm telling you the truth. And I'm shocked to hear a man like Damian Crawford speaking like this. Mr. Crawford, your mind, sir, needs to be emancipated. You are disappointing. And I hope that you will reach out to us and so we can have a conversation. This is wrong. The Jamaican black men and women, they grew despite enormous obstacles. If you go to the National Library of Jamaica, it records substantial growth in small land holdings between the late 19th and early 20th century. So the Jamaican people have already demonstrated something very important. They don't simply want government handouts. Let me tell you something. I'm going to make this point because it is very, very important. The culture of the Jamaican in the want no handout. That is a learned behavior that was introduced to him in the 70s and in the 90s. It is a learned behavior. It's not traditional. It's not even generational. And the PNP introduced it to Jamaica. I wonder if the PNP is trying to re-enslave Jamaica. Because I don't understand how them talk like this. The Jamaican people want opportunity to own, to work, to build, to pass on something that is very different. That is a very different political philosophy. And my view, I don't talk to anybody in the JLP, they didn't tell me this, that is the philosophical difference between JLP and PNP. The Jamaica Labour Party seem to want to give the people opportunity to own, to work, to build, to pass on something to the next generation. The PNP seem to want to give them something from government and keep them dependent on the state. And if you create a dependency, a social state, you are going to bankrupt the country because we only have this amount in the pie and we are not productive. It is the same PNP I heard, Julian Robinson, talking about the economy not growing. The economy of Jamaica shrunk over the last 2 quarters. He said that we are in a technical recession. Now, how can we be in a technical recession and you are proposing giving away things? You're not talking about getting the people to produce. You're talking about redistributing. Boy, what a disappointment. What a disappointment. You know, let's bring this down to Cooper's Pen. Let me take my argument with you to Cooper's Pen. Let's go down to Cooper's Pen. The tragedy of Cooper's Pen should force Jamaica to confront the land question. But we have to distinguish between land reform and taking somebody else's private property. Land reform is not to take my property. The Cooper's Pen land was privately owned. And the courts had already made orders concerning the occupation. The PNP government later attempted to compulsory acquire the land, and the court says, no, you can't do that. So we need to be extremely careful, because you cannot say these people are poor, therefore they deserve this particular piece of land. Because then you have created another problem. What happens to the rights of the person who own it? Because the answer cannot be that poverty cancels rights. Poverty doesn't cancel people's rights to own them land. But neither can the answer be that property rights cancel the government's responsibility to address poverty. Both things are true. And here is the point that needs to be made. Poverty grew under the PNP. Uno not going to like it, but are true. Mr. Crawford, poverty grew under the People's National Party. And when poverty grows, you are creating additional social problems, including housing. Because what you have done is that people start to migrate. They leave country, come a town, come look opportunity. And they leave also into the areas where the hotels are looking for opportunities. Why? Because, Mr. Crawford, under your government, sir, economic opportunities in Jamaica were scarce. Damian, your party created the problem. It was a FINSA problem that created increased poverty on the island. Don't stand up there and talk and fool up the people. Because had the PNP grew, and when the PNP was in government, the world economy was growing by an average 3 to 5%. Your Minister of Finance, Mr. Omar Davies, came up with a term that he called negative growth. Jamaica is the only country, I have searched through all the economic books, I've never seen that term, negative growth. I don't know what negative growth is, but that was what was coined by your government, negative growth. They were so embarrassed. When Jamaica grew by 0.25% or 0.5%, it was celebration. The 18.5 years that your party was in power created a lot of social problems in Jamaica, Mr. Crawford. A lot of poverty was on the country, on the island. And squatting mushroomed under the PNP. You guys kind of lack credibility. You should be quiet. Mr. Crawford, you should be quiet. It's just because there's not sufficient people in Jamaica. Anyway, you should be quiet, sir. Don't get people started. Don't get them started. Jamaica became independent in 1962. We have now had 64 years of political sovereignty. So I think we need to ask ourselves a difficult question. At what point does history become context rather than destiny? Miss Duncan Sutherland, I'd like to ask you that question, ma'am. At what point does history become context rather than destiny? Because slavery explains part of where Jamaica started. Colonialism explains part of our institutional inheritance. Land dispossession explains part of our inequality. But if after 64 years of independence, our political philosophy remains, we are poor because of what happened to our ancestors, therefore government must compensate us, is that the message coming out of the PNP? Be my guest here tonight and don't get me started. Be my guest. Listen up. In 1962, Singapore was not yet independent. 1962. When the Union Jack came down at the National Stadium, Singapore, a little sandspit, was tied to Malaysia. Ethnic challenges, poverty was in Singapore. A man emerged on television one night by the name of Lee Kuan Yew, and he was crying because Singapore got independence in 1965 and Malaysia kicked them out. They were very dependent on Malaysia and Malaysia kicked them out. And Singapore is left on its own with a population uneducated. They have no natural resources. Raw sewage was running all over their country. Singapore is the size of St. James, a little sandspit over there. And Lee Kuan Yew set about to transform that society. Yes, he could have blamed the colonial people. They were worse than Jamaica. When Jamaica got independence, we had schools, we had roads, we had hospitals. Did you know that all of these hospitals we have, and the Jamaican government built them, and a lot of the roads. You think so we just get an empty country? No. We never get an empty country at independence. The biggest problem we had at independence was education. Our people weren't very, very illiterate. Today, Singapore is one of the richest countries in the world with a GDP larger than that of the United States. Singapore developed what is called the poison doctrine, you see. You can't even fight them. A small country attracts more investments than most of the first world countries in the world. What did Singapore do? Or who does Singapore have? Or maybe we should ask, who did we have that Singapore did not have? Don't tell me foolishness. We are not poor because of what happened to our ancestors. We are not poor because of that. We are poor because we have not had strong governments. Our government, especially that the party you support, have been corrupt and have mismanaged the affairs of the country. And this is why we are where we are today. Don't tell me about poverty. And don't let me tell the people about the bauxite levy. We had bauxite. What did Singapore have? Look at our beaches. Look at our people. And when you walk the streets of Jamaica today, and you talk to Jamaicans, you feel shame. And many can't even have a decent conversation. But they're not dunce. They're underdeveloped. They're underdeveloped. We have created a very dangerous intellectual trap because we have made the past the permanent explanation of the future. And I reject that. I reject the PNP's doctrine of poverty. And I want every one of my listeners to reject it too. Reject this nonsense about 1/8 of an acre of land. Don't accept it. What you accept is an economic environment in which you determine where you want to buy your land and where you want to build. The past is no permanent explanation for the future. I reject that, Miss Duncan Sutherland. I reject that, Damian Crawford. And I cannot support either of you. I cannot. History should explain our starting point. It should not imprison our imagination. And what you are telling me is that your imaginations are imprisoned by history. Away with that. That's the old socialist ideology. And those days are dead. You know, the greatest danger is dependency. The greatest danger is dependency. Because here is the irony. We fought slavery because human beings should not be economically dependent upon another person's will. We fought slavery because human beings should not be economically dependent upon another person's will. And so we should be careful not to create a political culture where citizens become permanently dependent upon the state. It's an irony. I want you to see it. The reason we fought slavery, you know, was that we never want to depend on anybody. We must be careful that we do not create a political culture where citizens become permanently dependent upon the government. If the message is government must give you land, then the citizens wait for the government. If the message is government must create the conditions under which you can acquire land, build wealth, and become economically independent, then the citizens become the economic actor. That is the difference between the parties. An economic actor. That's a profound difference in both of what we are seeing here. One party is saying, we'll give you land. Wait for us. So the people sit down lazy, they no work, they no want to study, they no want to go to no school. They just sit down and wait for the government to get their 1/8 quarter of land. Because somehow they wait for the PNP come back in a power. And when the PNP come back in a power, they will get piece of land. And what if the PNP never come back to power for 30 years? You still sit down and wait? That is why the fight is on. That is why the politics is so nasty. Because we have allowed the Jamaicans to think that if our party, Harold Laswell, the politics of who gets what, when, and how. The politics of who gets what, when, and how. In other words, if my party is in power, I will get piece of land. But if my party not in a power, me not go get no land. So me go fight like a dickens to make my party come back in a power so me can get piece of land. And if that is our thinking, we are doomed to fail. My God, may we release the Jamaican people from that thinking and create environments in which people can thrive. How men organize to produce the means of their subsistence constitutes the foundations of society. How men organize to do what? Produce. And it's a theological principle because God said it, by the sweat of your brow. You see how many are sweat? By the sweat of your brow, you eat bread. Did you know that manna fell in the wilderness? And you know what manna was? Manna was bread from heaven. It is said of manna, you see, that it had all the nutrients. One bread contained all the nutrients because it was made in heaven and sent down to earth. Manna fell in the wilderness. But guess what? The people had to go out and pick it up. And if they did not go out and pick it up, they would have died for hunger. It never came cooked. They had to go pick it up and cook it. In other words, God, the creator, refused to create dependency. Governments must not. It is a breach of a theological principle to create in people dependency. Don't do it. The citizen must become an economic actor. One produce dependency, the other produce citizenship. And what we have in Jamaica are two sets of people. We have citizens and we have dependents. Dependents are not citizens. And it appears as if one party have dependents and the other are raised up citizens. You're not a citizen if you are dependent. I want to be fair, because the historical question is legitimate. The descendants of enslaved Jamaicans inherited a society profoundly shaped by slavery. The land question is real. The wealth question is real. The poverty question is real. And Cooper's pen has exposed it all. But I would challenge Ms. Duncan's conclusion and that of Mr. Crawford. I challenge her conclusion. The answer to historical dispossession cannot simply be give descendants of slaves crown land. I wonder if I could refresh my listeners' memory with what Ms. Duncan says before I give you my conclusion about Ms. Duncan's argument. Very, very important. I don't think I will get back to this, but it is important for me to help my listeners to understand how these things don't.
So, last week I wore my Jamaican.
Here she is.
I don't think so. When plantation owners came to Jamaica, the crown gave them the lands to farm. When slavery was abolished, they left them with the land and paid them for the slaves. But descendants of slaves got nothing. I believe it is reasonable for descendants of slaves to get crown lands. And I'm saying get crown lands in the same way that plantation owners got it. And this was what Operation Pride was about. Because we have all of these informal settlements that came about because we had a lot of persons who are in poverty, coming out of slavery, and had nowhere to go. Operation Pride was about how we regularize these informal settlements and create some other communities that persons could begin to own a piece of Jamaica. It had problems, but we shouldn't have thrown out the baby with the bathwater. So I put it to you, every Jamaican who is not currently a landowner should be given 1/8 of an acre as a start.
There you have it. Every Jamaican who is not a landowner should be given 1/8 of an acre as a start. Miss Duncan Sutherland's historical argument is legitimate. The descendants of enslaved Jamaicans inherited a society profoundly shaped by slavery. The land question is real. The wealth question is real. The poverty question is real. I am going to challenge Miss Duncan Sutherland's conclusion. Because the answer to historical dispossession cannot simply be give descendants land. The more profound answer is build a Jamaica in which the descendants of slaves possesses the education, the capital, the property rights, institutions, and economic opportunities to create wealth on a scale that slavery once made impossible. That is a much bigger ambition. The first emancipation was freedom from slavery. The next emancipation should be economic independence. Imagine a Jamaica where a child is born today and his or her grandfather was poor. The parents are poor, but that child gets an excellent education, learns a trade or profession, goes to Harvard, learns AI, learns to speak Spanish, gets access to capital, starts a business, buys lands, builds a home, employs 5 people, and then 20 passes the business and property to their children. That's emancipation. Not because government handed them anything, but because the society finally gave them the conditions to build something. And don't you see, my listeners, that this is the type of Jamaica we are trying to build under the Prime Minister? And this is my challenge. Don't turn Cooper Spend into a competition over who loves poor people more than the other. The PNP says we try to protect them. We must remember slavery. We must understand dispossession. We must understand reform and access to land. But don't make the Jamaican people permanent prisoners of their history. Because the goal of emancipation cannot simply be to reverse who receives the government's favor. The goal must be to create a society where people don't need political favor to prosper. How do we organize the Jamaican society so that people can produce the means of their own subsistence, create their own wealth, own property, educate their children, and pass productive assets to the next generation? Because ultimately a government can give you land, but only a productive economy can give you prosperity. You hear that, Ms. Duncan Sutherland? Government can give you land. It can't give you prosperity. A prosperity comes from a productive economy. And I suspect that what the Jamaica Labour Party is trying to do is to build a productive economy while the PNP wants to give you a piece of land. Choose he this day who he will serve. Producer, do I have, who do I have? I think I have, hello, Valencia. Okay. I am at 7 minutes to 9 o'clock. There's a letter written in the Gleaner by a gentleman, Dr. Abrams. I want to read a little bit of it for you. Is who coming up? Blueberry? I tell you something. I think Molly.
Yes, Mabel.
Hi. Who is going to read for me? Molly?
Yes, Mabel.
Okay, Molly,
Okay,
are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Work with me. You see, if I stop you, don't worry. You just pick up back. You hear? Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So good evening, everyone. So we're reading Michael Abrams' article, Jamaica Deserves a Better Opposition.
Go slow for me. You hear? Please go slow. Jamaica deserves a better opposition.
Sure.
All right. Good. Go ahead.
Better opposition. When we speak of governance, attention naturally centers on the governing party, which holds the reign of power and makes decisions that affect the populace. Yet, the opposition has an equally important role, holding the government accountable, safeguarding checks and balances, preventing the abuse of power, and presenting a credible alternative. A strong opposition is therefore essential to good governance.
Hold on there. You hear that? Hold on there, Molly. Good governance arises out of the effectiveness of the opposition. And I want Jamaicans to understand this, because you may not like the PNP, they may be very bad, but the government need, as part of its impetus to do well, it needs an effective opposition. Go ahead, Molly.
As a Jamaican, I am deeply concerned and perplexed by the conduct of the People's National Party.
Hold on, that is Mr. Abrams. Hold on. As a Jamaican, he says, I am deeply perplexed.
The party appears even more disorganized.
Sorry, Molly, you have a little noise in your background there. Can you address that?
Continue?
No, there's a little noise in your background.
My background, I'm not sure what that is.
Oh.
Let me see, maybe my computer.
Yeah.
Are you hearing me?
I am hearing you, but we are also hearing a recording in the background.
Oh, from the inside. Let me see.
Trying to get a little bit out of Mr. Michael Abraham.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Fascinating stuff. I don't think that Michael Abrahams is any friend of the Jamaica Labour Party. And he's writing that he has very, very serious concerns about how the PNP is operating, which Jamaican don't. Which Jamaican don't have concerns about the party now. Look at what the party is over there suggesting. That well, I don't know if it's a party, but that more than 600,000 Jamaicans are to be given land. Or where the land will come from.
Is it any better?
Let's work with that. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me pick up. As a Jamaican, I'm deeply concerned and perplexed by the conduct of the People's National Party.
Yes.
Almost a year after losing the last general election, the party appears even more disorganized than before.
Hold on. Hold on, Molly. Mr. Abrams is saying that after 1 year of losing the election, the party has gotten worse. This is Michael Abrams speaking, 1 year after an election, the party is no better. They are worse. What a fascinating article. Go ahead, Molly.
Seemingly unwilling or unable to learn from its mistakes. Recent events have only intensified my bewilderment and deepened my concern. On July 20, Nationwide Radio shared leaked voice notes allegedly involving two members of the PNP's National Executive Council discussing NARA, a proposed dedicated mechanism of managing post-disaster reconstruction following Hurricane Melissa.
Yes.
At the very least, the conversation appeared to indicate a willingness to undermine the initiative and, if possible, smear the reputation of its CEO, Major General Anthony Anderson. The episode was deeply damaging to the PNP's image. Yet, for 6 days, there was no comment on the issue or condemnation from the party leadership. When Mark Golding eventually addressed the matter at the NEC meeting, he acknowledged that the individuals were within the party, but said they were not officers and that the comments did not represent party policy.
Wow.
However, he neither denied their membership in the NEC nor condemned the substance of the conversation.
Listen to that. And you hear Mr. Hold on there, Molly. You hear Mr. Apka Fitzhenley today Weak leadership. That's what they're calling Mr. Golin. That Golin is a weak leader. Listen to we listen to Fitzhenley speaking about the leader of the People's National Party. Say he's weak.
Party. It is unacceptable. The opposition leader has displayed weak leadership and failed to strongly deal with downright shameful and inappropriate comments made by two senior members of his party. It is the opposition leader has displayed weak leadership and failed.
My goodness, weak leadership. I like how Mr. Fitzhenley put it. Weak leadership. All right, Molly, go ahead.
Right?
Yes.
Then came the Cookpen incident, in which the homes of squatters in that community in Trelawney were demolished in the early hours of August 11. The issue is complex. Squatting is illegal, and the occupants had reportedly known for more than a decade that they were required to vacate the land. Nevertheless, the manner in which the demolitions were carried out, leaving people homeless, was understandably traumatic and smacks of inhumanity. Both political parties have since sought to blame the other for the situation. Meanwhile, opposition Member of Parliament, human rights spokesperson and attorney at law, Isaac Buchanan, raised legitimate concerns about the matter. However, in a TikTok video, he also encouraged unaffected residents to present broken pieces of furniture to authorities and falsely claimed that they had been victims of the demolition to obtain compensation, instructing them to chop the line, a term used to describe scamming. PNP leader Mark Golin subsequently visited the community with Buchanan and PNP caretaker of North Trelawney, Dennis Meadows, who had previously stated at a 2024 political meeting that he had no problem with people who chop. Golin called on the government to resettle residents displaced by the demolition. The PNP's handling of the situation is difficult to reconcile with the standard it claims to uphold. It is also unbelievable that members of the party can act the way they did in a response to the incident and expect to be respected and taken seriously by the Jamaican people. Coming on the heels of the leaked voice note controversy, Buchanan's remarks reinforced the perception that elements within the party are willing to countenance unethical tactics when politically expedient.
Wow.
On a personal level, Buchanan has had 2 criminal convictions. And the Jamaican Labour Party has repeatedly weaponized that aspect of his history to question his legitimacy. Bearing that in mind, his encouragement of unethical behavior also helps to strengthen the narrative that he is unfit for public office.
Wow, hold on there now. Hold on there. So Mr. Michael Abrahams is no friend of the Labour Party, is saying that Mr. Buchanan is unfit. You hear that, listeners? He's unfit. This is Michael Abrahams writing in the Jamaican Gleaner. The Gleaner themselves don't know they are friends of the party either. Fascinating stuff happening here. Mr. Buchanan is not fit for the Labour Party. Last week called for his resignation. He's a 2-time convict. Wow. Yes. I hear Mr. Buchanan this morning responding to this young lady up at Sleek FM. What is her name? Gabby. Hold on there. Hold on there a little bit. Hold on there a little bit, yo. You know, see nothing yet. You know, see nothing yet. Let us see if we can find Gabby. Hold on there, Molly. I have you know what? I need a technical person here in the studio now because it's so much to deal with at nights. But we get in there. Bear with me a little bit. bear with me. I hear Mr. Buchanan taking on Gabby. Where's Gabby? Where's Gabby? Hey, Gabby. I wonder if I can find Gabby. I should have her. Oh, here she is. Sleek Radio. Gabby. Here's Gabby.
And there are politicians,
yes,
even after we pay them so much, that find themselves on social media, on TikTok Live, on their poolsides riding their pelotons, begging people to top up the screen and don't make them lose their match. My God, what has politics gone to in this country? An absolute disgrace. I have to go to work every day. You're probably listening to me now in your office or in your car on your way to work. And after we pay them $14 million.
Hold on, Gabby. What are they riding? They're what? What they're riding?
On their poolsides riding their pelotons.
Okay.
Begging.
I tell you the truth, it's fascinating. Jamaica is a fascinating place. They're riding their what? Their pelotons. Why you can't ride peloton your bat. You can't ride peloton at your poolside in Jamaica, your bat, eh? Go ahead, Gabby.
People to top up the screen. And don't make them lose their match. My God.
Yeah.
What has politics gone to in this country?
Well, I don't know.
An absolute disgrace.
Is it really?
I have to go to work every day. You're probably listening to me now in your office or in your car on your way to work.
On the Hello Neighbor
and
show.
After we pay them $14 million.
How much? How much you pay them, Gabby? How much the taxpayers pay them?
$14 million.
I don't understand what you say.
So we pay them $14 million.
What? That's more than $1 million a month, and they are riding pelotons. 14 million to ride peloton.
Oh gosh.
Gosh. Hold on there. You know, see nothing yet. Go ahead, Gabby.
Still, they show up online on TikTok begging you and I who earn less than them to give us more of what we have because it is not enough. And using the platform to increase their public profile for whatever reason, perhaps tied to more wages outside of politics. What have we gone to as a country? I see somebody said to the dogs, and I'm inclined to agree.
Oh, we're going to the dogs. We're not so bad.
And then,
not so bad.
Showing up in Cooper's pen, laced with sweet words and nothingness. Hypocritically, if you ask me, because if you owned those lands, I don't imagine that you would take it kindly that people live on it. Then encouraging people to take more from you and I by saying, chop the line.
I tell you.
AKA, take more from the government. AKA, take more from me and you. So that is the caliber of people that we have representing us now in Gordon House.
I tell you, that's Gabby. Molly, read again what Mr. Abraham said about Mr. Buchanan. We have Molly. We have Molly online there. We're trying to get the article from the Gleaner. Hello, Molly.
When you are, yeah.
Yeah. Read again what Mr. Abraham said about. Read again what him said about Mr. Buchanan.
Yes, I would. I'm going there.
So
coming on the heels of the voice note controversy, Buchanan's remark reinforced the perception that elements within the party are unwilling to countenance unethical tactics when politically expedient.
Yes.
On a personal level, Buchanan has had 2 criminal convictions.
Wow.
And the Jamaica Labour Party has repeatedly weaponized that aspect of his history to question his legitimacy. Bearing in mind, his encouragement of unethical behavior also helps to strengthen the narrative that he is unfit for public office.
My goodness. Dr. Michael Abrahams, writing in the Gleaner, said that Mr. Isaac Buchanan is not fit for public office. Fascinating stuff. Go ahead, Molly.
Harry, can you mute, please? Golden's own response is also concerning. Golden, also an attorney at law, has been criticized for failing to rebuke the would-be saboteurs exposed in the leaked voice notes. He has never Buchanan nor distanced himself from his chopping comments, and his visits to Cooper's Pen, flanked by the two party members who have endorsed fraudulent behavior, raises serious questions about his own judgment, integrity, and tolerance for unethical conduct.
Is Mr. Abraham saying that Mr. Golden have no integrity? Wow. That's a strong word. Wow. He's questioning Mr. Golden's own integrity here. I tell you, what a thing happening. The whole shebang is coming down. The whole shebang coming down. The whole shebang. The whole house a tumble down. Go ahead, Molly.
Also, in 2001, Golden, acting as chairman for the Mona Rehabilitation Foundation, swore an affidavit supporting a legal injunction to block a government plan to relocate Mona Commons squatters to land in the vicinity of the Sir John Golden Rehabilitation Center, an institution founded by his late father. Questionable, but yeah. Golden has also participated in a protest the previous year to object to the proposed relocations. Now, demanding that the government resettle Cooper's Pen residents without addressing the apparent contradiction risk appearing hypocritical and disingenuous.
Golden a hypocrite. Oh my God. Go ahead.
These episodes suggest a PMP that is struggling not only with political strategy and coherent communication, but also with ethical judgment and public perception.
Look at that.
The party appears increasingly insulated within an echo chamber.
Hold on. They are insulated within an echo chamber of what? And
that's the...
within an echo chamber.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Seemingly oblivious to how the wider Jamaican public is receiving its conduct and image. Want me to read that again?
No, I got it. You have a lot left? Okay. You have a lot left to go?
No, not a lot.
Yes.
There's a paragraph. This is particularly damaging because the PMP's last election campaign placed considerable emphasis on integrity and corruption. Yet, its recent actions and utterances have undermined its credibility on precisely those issues. The party has failed to convince much of the electorate that it represents a meaningful, ethical alternative to its political opponents. A functional democracy requires...
Hold on, Michael is saying that the PNP is not a credible alternative.
I guess.
What are you saying to me?
No, not an ethical one.
Yes, go ahead.
So in his conclusion, a functional democracy requires an opposition that is credible, principled, and capable of holding government to account. The Jamaican people deserve better than political opportunism, questionable judgment, and silence when misconduct occurs. That's the end.
Thank you so much, Molly. There you have it. The article of the night came to us from Mr. Michael Abrahams of the Jamaica Gleaner. Fascinating stuff. Boy, I tell you something. Who is going to rescue the PNP? I see Mr. Crawford up on screen there. Mr. Crawford, are you capable of doing that, sir? But based on what I hear you saying over there, man, you're not up to the task, Mr. Crawford. Member Harry, how are you? Member Harry? Member Harry? Bah, I don't have member.
Good night, neighbor. Good night, everybody.
Hey, hello, sir. How are you?
I'm not too bad in a neighbor.
Yeah. Member Harry, I don't know if you heard that tape by Mr. Crawford. But before we go to the tape, don't you find it amazing that a man like Dr. Michael Abrahams is coming out with such strong criticisms of the People's National Party?
I'd want to incline to say it's surprising, neighbor, but I won't, because what we're seeing is that there are specific people like himself who is no fond of this government ever.
Right.
Who know in terms of the People's National Party, it is so filled with scandals, with poor leadership, and it leaves a stench that it becomes unbearable for these persons to keep.
You mean even the people inside is beginning to smell the stink?
Of course, neighbor. Remember, I know we've seen persons like Dion Jackson Miller, who was forced to come out and speak on issues, right? And in fact, they've had a delayed form of tactics in when they speak out, because they do wait for considerable time, right? Almost want to play the 9-day talk kind of thing. But when the issue doesn't go away, it looks bad on them as individuals now, who speaks on accountability, integrity, and credibility, to not make utterances. And I think it's a kick up the backside for the PNP to see these set of people now coming out publicly, not just to save face, but to let them know that, listen, it don't look so good. You have to shake up the house. And I think because a lot more Jamaicans are getting involved in these conversations, neighbor, intellectuals as well, right? Those who have emotional intelligence and are holding this conversation longer than it used to be in our Jamaican society of the past, these people have to also contribute to it, or else they will start to lose their foothold in society itself.
But it's startling, Harry, to hear these types of criticisms coming from a supposedly supporter of the party, calling actually for ISAT to that he doesn't suit, he's not fit for political office, and that Golding himself lacks credibility. It's fascinating to hear this coming from a man like Mr. Abrahams.
Well, it would in a neighbor, especially with the level that he holds in society. But like I said, it is one in which these persons have to now speak. And I put no doubt that they've probably sent messages to the party before, maybe not have received the responses they may like, or not necessarily in terms of words, but also, to clean up the actions, because it's getting worse and worse, neighbor. They would say it from worse to worse, right? That is what is happening, and it's disheartening for them, and they don't know where the party overall stands. So now they're taking it from an angle as so-called concerned Jamaicans. It's not that they're really concerned Jamaicans, neighbor, because they can't tell me that in previous times, especially the 18 and a half years or even the 4.5 years that the People's National Party was in power, if they weren't concerned Jamaicans then, when it was atrocious, right, as government. So why is it now that they're concerned when the party is an opposition?
Here, actually, no, at least 1 year now, since the PNP's defeat, that it has gotten increasingly worse. And I get the feeling that it is an increasingly common perspective being held by many Jamaicans that the PNP is really regressing. I mean, what new ideas would have come out of the party over the last 9 or 10 months? Anything substantial that we could debate on, look at tonight?
There's nothing that has put forward, neighbor. Their best bet was that national budget debate, and of course we know all members failed.
Oh,
right? And failed miserably too.
But
this shows that they aren't a party coming from 2020 that was ever built on let's tackle the people's issue from a policy level. They never incorporated that when they were rebuilding. In fact, I'd want to go as far as to say, bear in mind what happened in 2020. Mark coming to be the leader was technically a band-aid over the wound.
Yes.
It was a patchwork done to get ready for this election. It wasn't any deep introspection when it comes on to how do we move forward.
Or any new idea.
Anything. In fact, as Abraham's put it, they're in an echo chamber. They are oblivious to what is happening in the reality of Jamaicans and the real Jamaica. They're so caught up within themselves that everything they say, it just bounces back to them and they think they are right. In fact, the People's National Party at this current moment as an opposition is in a delusional state.
Yes.
Because when you look at it, neighbor, and I'm speaking specifically as well to Mark Golding as a leader, when you now run on the ticket of integrity and every action you've taken thereafter the election is something that erodes that, I don't want to say that picture of integrity, because you hide yourself behind this idea, and every action you've taken that people can judge on, that people can see, slowly rips away the farce that you placed. It says something about you as a leader. And the things you've embraced not only reduces the idea that you're a leader, but it shows that you know not what you're doing and that the party is in a frenzy right now. There's no true leader and proper leadership as it stands. You may have that specific group, right, the risers, separate from the other members who are running and so on. So it is really a disjointed party, and we're seeing it based on the comments every single time, whether it be persons from the New Breed speak, whether it be from Mark Golding speak, and or people from the NEC. They're all singing different tunes and nobody knows who is the leader.
Yeah. Let's move you on, Harry. Damian Crawford, before I get to him, Miss Duncan Sutherland is suggesting that the 600,000 Jamaicans be given 1/8 of an acre of the land in Jamaica as a start. Harry, what can go so?
You know what's funny about that, neighbor? It's coming from somebody who is at an age would have seen a lot and sat on her laurels for such a very long time. And to be putting out a statement of hypocrisy, because I'm calling it what it is. There's no prettying it up. She's doing it not to save political or to score political points, but to save political face, neighbor.
Oh,
right? It is out of desperation to also be relevant to what is happening and a cover up. Because if we're to examine it, the political party that benefits more from improper housing, illegal settlement in Jamaica has always been the People's National Party. It is no secret, right? It is known. And when you look at it, neighbor, they had the chance, the best chance in Jamaica's history in that 18 and a half years to properly at least initiate a successive aspect of policy that drives reformation, land reformation. They had it. In fact, they have gone to a level, even in the modern day Jamaica, let's say the 2000s, when they won that 42-seat, neighbor, they had the 2/3 majority to even start it again. And Miss Duncan Sutherland has always been a part of the People's National Party. They're engraved in that party. They're proud of being a part of the People's National Party, right? And they did not see fit then. They didn't see fit in the 2000s. And now, when they are politically irrelevant and not viable, they're seeing everything that's wrong. And the idea is to give out land. Well, let's start with what you own, Mrs. Sutherland. Because we would want to know, when you go ahead and make this suggestion, which is irresponsible, by the way, very irresponsible, because you cannot.
Where would we find 600,000 parcels of land to give 1/8 of an acre to 600? Harry, you know this thing more than I do. What would that do to Jamaica and to Crown lands in Jamaica, and what would it do to the people? Because I'm sure that these people would probably just sell the piece of land to get some money.
Neighbor, it would the economic backlash that will have, right, on the government, because understand this, to regularize these people will cost money.
Yeah, because you can't just give them the land, you would have to give them infrastructure on the land.
Exactly. You have to put in the basic amenities that are required, which is access to sewage,
roads,
access to running water, and everything that is there. And also have to ensure that you don't infringe on any future development areas.
I want you to say that again, Harry. So it's not about cutting off 1/4 acre land and give to somebody. You can't just give a man a piece of land, because what does that do to the person? You don't have to put in the infrastructure in there, which would cost. Can we finance that really?
Neighbor, if my memory serves me well, I believe the Prime Minister said in and around a figure of $900 billion. Somebody can fact check me on that and give me the exact figure. Where in Jamaica are we going to get that money? Right? And when you look at it, these things in a neighbor comes at such hefty economic cost. And I'm going to put it to everybody, even those who are listening to the diaspora.
Yes.
The cost that it's going to come with means an increase in taxation. And I'm going to break down one specific tax. Which one of us here, including you, neighbor, is willing to move to pay an increased GCT from 15% thereabout to 25 or more?
Are you saying to me that if the government executes a policy of giving 600,000 people in Jamaica 1/8 of an acre of land, that taxes would be increased?
Inevitably, has to.
What you saying to me, Harry?
Neighbor, the government has to find the money somewhere, and
not to give the land, but to put in the infrastructure.
Just to put in the basic structure, neighbor, right? Just to ensure that you give these people the resources to know. Let's say everybody's going to build something on the land, right? When you look at it, who and which Jamaican economy in the history of Jamaica can foot that bill? Let's be realistic. 64 years of Jamaica.
Oh God.
Under which government, under which economy could we have sustained and even attempt to do such thing? I'd love to ask Mrs. Duncan Sutherland that question.
So with the best of intentions, Harry, this is just an impossible task for the government to do. It's not as simple as just cutting up land and giving people.
It's not as simple as they put it. And that is the idea. They sell these people.
Oh,
the
God.
same way how they sell coupon spend people a lie. The People's National Party know how to package these lies.
And give out certificates of land ownership, and the certificates don't even work toilet paper.
In the neighbor, the print. Go ahead, Molly.
Harry, please. Chantal, can you mute, please? Chantal, please mute.
We can mute her. Here. Let me mute her here. Okay. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Harry.
Neighbor, these are the hidden costs, the reality of the situation that the People's National Party has spent its entire existence on hiding from the Jamaican people.
I want you to repeat that for the listeners, Harry. People are joining us all the time. It's very important. This is an educational class, as a master class, even for me. You are saying to me that the proposal coming from Ms. Duncan Sutherland, that the government of Jamaica cut up the land and give it to 600 people, that if that ever happened in Jamaica, we all will see rate increase in taxes.
Of course, it has to, because the money has to come from somewhere, neighbor. I see electoral squad say Mrs. Duncan Sutherland shares in JMB can finance the purchase of land. It still can't electoral. There's a lot more to it than that. But with the utterance and the statement that she's made, neighbor, it is very irresponsible.
You think it's very irresponsible?
It is, neighbor. It is at one of the highest level of irresponsible. When you look in a neighbor, because if you're supposed to have Mrs. Duncan Sutherland tonight on the program,
my God,
and you get to ask her that one question: how do we foot the bill? She cannot tell you, and it's a very vital part of the statement that is put forward. You cannot put something like that forward, neighbor, and have no clue how you're going to achieve it. And that's what the People's National Party has always done. And I can go back to their manifesto. How do they put the $3.5 million threshold? How are they going to ensure one degree per household? How are they going to determine it? How are they going to give free housing? These are the things they've always done. And people run and buy it, neighbor, because we weren't in terms of intelligent enough and have the knowledge access enough to question these things, and we see it in modern day.
So it just sound good, but even if the PNP were in government, it could not happen. That's what you're saying to me.
It couldn't, neighbor. It couldn't. And this is a situation about bureaucracy and having the technocrats. It's not even there. We haven't even reached there yet. It is just how you are attempting to properly put out a plan for something you want to achieve. It's almost utopic. That's how they put it forward, neighbor, as if money is there and resources are there to do it. Even if we didn't have Melissa, which took away 56% of our GDP, even without that, neighbor,
and with an economy that is contracting even now, Harry, it makes matters even worse.
Extremely worse. Neighbor, we are in a global setting, right, where we heavily depend as to what happened around the rest of the world to determine how we develop, how we live our lives, what is our daily spend, and how the government governs in the best interest of Jamaicans, those locally and in the diaspora. It is not a simple task. And when they come up and make these utterances, neighbor, being so irresponsible for somebody who should know better, because I'm not putting it beyond her, she knows better, neighbor. You think she don't know saying that make no sense? She knows.
I wonder.
And when you look at these things, it is again appealing to gullible and naive and ignorant Jamaicans. And that, for me, as somebody who aspires, neighbor, as her, I believe she ran 2 or 3 times. She aspires to be a political representative and to sit in her executive of government, to help be one of those legislators that lead Jamaica. I think she needs to wheel and come again and to learn how to be responsible with her statements. And it's not too late for her to learn if she doesn't know, neighbor. We learn every day.
But the man who aspires to lead the party, Mr. Damian Crawford, it was no better, sir. You heard what he said in his presentation, Crawford.
I heard part of his statements.
Yeah, well, what he was saying is that if the PNP were in power, more people would get more land. He's not far off from what Miss Crawford is saying. Isn't Damian Crawford very disappointing, Harry? You would have thought that Crawford would know some of what you are talking about there. He's a mathematician.
Of course he knows. He knows, but guess the thing, neighbor. When people from the party make these utterances and they may not have run it by him, or they may not hold him to the level that he thinks he should be held, then he uses it as a stepping stone. because that makes him look better. Right? So it is really a situation, even with him and his utterance name. I believe he mentioned Lloyd as well.
Yes.
I think Mr. Crawford needs to tread very careful, because he's still pretty new to Northwest St. Catherine. And if he knows what I know, he treads very careful on that path, because, neighbor, Lloyd's Vale for over 35 years have voted one way. And that is for the People's National Party. They've only voted one way. And for 35 years of different representatives from the People's National Party, you are today speaking about reformation and land ownership for Lloyd Azale. You should be ashamed of yourself. Neighbor, it was a strategy used by the People's National Party. You have an area as well, same Northwest, right? I believe it was Jack Stevens who was a pioneer of it. You have an area called Charlie Mount Housing Scheme, the back of it, the farmland of it. That was set out to give people land. Neighbor, when me get big, some people get one title for the land. A lot of people there for generations don't own it. It's a farmland. And that area is Mr. Crawford's and the People's National Party stronghold in Northwest. Neighbor, when ballot boxer come from that area, you know you lose.
Oh my God. Solid PNP.
So they can't speak. He himself can't speak. Bobby Pickersgill can't speak on that. And anybody else who ran before it. Because they created these areas. That is their benefit. Improper settlements, illegal settlements, is the bread and butter.
Politics for the PNP.
That fed the People's National Party.
Oh, God.
That is the reality, neighbor. The People's National Party had no incentive to correct it. None. Because why would I change it if I can turn up every 5 years and say, hey, remember, you know, we still work on the title. You come born, your mother see it, you come see your grandmother wait for the title, you come build something on it, and none of them own it. Generations pass through it, and guess what? All for political assurances when it comes to election time. And they can't deny it. It is right there. So when they come and speak on these things, neighbor, and that's why I sent the warning, he himself, based on his constituency, should tread very carefully. Right? And the People's National Party overall should do so. You know, one of the things, as I'm not saying the Jamaica Labour Party may not have areas where people, you know, vote for them in that area. But when you look at the magnitude and the state of the living, neighbor, of these people, I grew up hearing about the same thing you spoke about where the defecating bags and throw it. Yeah. I grew up hearing it. My father told every time I come at town, neighbor, if I come at town in 6 times when I was growing up, my father, when driving through where Portia Simpson Square was, right? It's one thing we know me here is that. And it never left me.
Parachute. You must look out for the parachute.
Neighbor, it was the go-to for them. So much that when I used to think of the McGregor Gully was the only thing that came to mind.
Oh my God.
I used to run jokes say at that block up the gully. And that was the fertilizer for the big trees that I did in the gully when I grew up.
Oh gosh.
That is how serious it is, neighbor.
Defecation, block up the gully.
Party, of course. The People's National Party should be ashamed.
With fertilizer.
There are few things they should never ever speak on.
Yes.
Housing.
Yes. And then they mention Operation Pride. Operation Shame.
Neighbor. It better them keep their mouth shut.
I think so too.
I think keeping their mouth shut does them more justice. Because the saying goes, no, neighbor, it's better to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and to confirm it.
Boy.
Right? And when you look at it, so they can't speak about land reformation, they can't speak on housing, they should not even touch healthcare, let alone education and crime. At this critical point, my neighbor. These are vital things for the survival of Jamaicans, for the improvement of an economy, and for the development of Jamaica holistically.
Yes.
They have failed in all sectors.
Yes. You're right.
That they can speak
you are right. Why is it though that I don't know. I don't know. I don't get a chance to browse social media in the days, but are these discussions taking place by the Labour Party? This pushback or what?
Not in the caliber that I expected to be seen, neighbor, and they don't have to come off as strong-willed and passionate as I do or as our programs. But I don't think they're out there tackling it.
Yes,
as they should.
In other words, sorry, Harry. This attractive, seemingly attractive thing about giving 600,000 people quarter 1/8 of an acre of land. The gullible people will think that, well, you know, if the PNP come back to power, then we have land, but it's rubbish. You are saying it's nonsense. That the party should make things like this slip in a civic illiterate society.
It shouldn't, neighbor, but they know who they're appealing to. The People's National Party now try to appeal to anybody who uses their brain in a neighbor. Anybody who even attempts to be civic literate and also attempt to be a critical thinker. They don't want that to you. If you attempt to have a conversation with any person from the People's National Party, whether it be a fan, a supporter, a tribalist, even the very high members, after a while, the conversation ends up into them using some very disrespectful and colorful words because they can't hold a conversation. Or the alternative is to tell about Manly. The same set of people who say, why we are talking about the past. Remember those statements in the neighbor? So we're not supposed to look back so far. But that's your go-to card. And it's not even a strong card, it's not even valid to today's day. But you still run for it because you know within yourself you are ashamed and you know that you have nothing tangible, nothing proper to add, and no value to add to the conversations. That is the reasons why. And they fall within those specific groups that I speak about. And that is why I when I look at it, neighbor, and I go through, because I take a look in terms on social media, I go through comments and look at to what the thinking of Jamaicans are.
Yes.
And of course, you'll have the persons, those who are labor rights, you know, standing strong. Those who are tribalists in terms of PNP, standing strong. But I look at what the conversation encompasses around. What is the meat of the matter? Is this conversation going anywhere? Neighbor, sometimes I read through some bad 200 comments just so I can get an
understanding. Absolutely. Me too.
Thinking.
Yes.
And if there's an area that I need to address, I will put a comment in it. And this isn't me ever attempting to be provocative, but I always want to shift the conversation to something meaningful, so that I can then see where are the well-thinkers, who will come and add to the conversation. And a lot of the times, those who sit on the PNP's fence disappears because they can't handle proper conversations, even hiding behind their phones. They can't.
Boy, what a
and
gift.
That is, it is there right now, neighbor, is the weapon that is formed against Jamaica advancing, and that is the simplest way to put it.
What a gift you are to
fail
Jamaica.
The leadership.
Yeah.
Go ahead, neighbor.
I'm saying what a gift you are to Jamaica, sir. What a gift you are to Jamaica and to this program. Thank you so much. Hold on for me. Chantal, Charisma. Hi. Hello. Good evening, Chantal. Hello. Charisma, can you mute her for me, please? Let's see if she has anything to add. Hello. Hello, Charisma. Chantal? No, she's not there at all. Let's jump over to Nathaniel. Nathaniel, go ahead. Not doing bad. Hi.
She was speaking. Scratchy was speaking pertaining to the land saga and the
Harry.
PNP.
Harry.
I need to go back and see if I can dig up the video recording where Mr. Crawford tell the country publicly that he benefited from Operation Pride.
You want to hear it, sir? You want to hear it?
Yes.
I have the video. What benefit? How did he benefit? Hold on. How did he benefit?
Land.
Mr. Crawford got land?
Yes.
Is that what he means when he said he benefited?
There's another former JTF president going around with the name of Speed. But then say no
Hold on, sir. Listen.
A lot of people got land benefited from land lease. I myself,
is that what he means when he said
he would have benefited from Operation Pride?
There you have it. I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride. You are saying that that is what Mr. Crawford got land? Hold on, listen to again.
No proof, insufficient based on the realities of now to give access to land. A lot of people in Portland would have benefited from land lease. I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride.
There you have it. I myself would have benefited from Operation. No, but what benefit?
It is okay with John Public.
What is the benefit?
Then I no shame in what them are doing. No shame in that game. Because we tell me all the while neighbors say anything that the PNP has done in this country, if they now benefit of it cannot happen. And here is Daniel Carver confirming to us saying benefit from Operation Pride Committee, anything that the PNP do in this country. If they now benefit of it can't happen.
Boy, I tell you.
Cannot. And that is what then done to the people.
So what is the, Nathaniel, what is the benefit that Crawford is talking about here?
The land.
He got land?
Yes.
What you saying to me? What you saying to me? Is that so, Mr. Crawford? Well, Mr. Crawford need to explain that. Eh?
Him what exactly benefit from, you know. But me you know when benefit from because they not go ask him the question. Because he not go come.
No, he said I myself have benefited from Operation Pride. The listeners are challenging it. Listen to it, listener.
No proven insufficient based on the realities of now to give access to land. A lot of people in Portland would have benefited from land lease. I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride.
I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride. That's what he said. I myself would have benefited from.
Remember what was Operation Pride?
Oh, I absolutely remember, sir.
You know that half of the piece level they issue land and the Operation Pride have not one single piece of documentation.
Would have. No, I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride. Harry? Sorry, Harry?
Yes,
you're better with the language. I myself would have benefited from Operation Pride. Is that not admitting that you would have derived some benefit?
It is, neighbor, because the correct thing, if he didn't benefit from it, would have said could, giving the possibility.
But if he says would have benefited, it means that there was a personal benefit.
Right.
Yes.
Thank
you very much.
So it simply means you've gained some form of advantage. You got something.
Yeah, I don't see how that could be confusing. Listen.
I'm confusing, but you confuse me.
No, is the listeners texting it, sir?
benefit for your neighbor. When you hear them coming out and I speak, all of them benefit from it. All of them benefited from it.
What you think about Miss Duncan Sutherland saying that 600,000 Jamaica must get 1/8 of an acre land for free?
Let me tell you something now. I want to understand. Miss Duncan Sutherland, you see, you're the minister over Pan Gabby, live over Sleep Radio, speaking about the 600 individuals upon squatter land and the 90 billion. 90 billion people, I say million of B, 90 billion with a B. When cost taxpayers to ever to supposed to go and to regularize all of those people. Yes? So that is what Mrs. Sutherland here. And she don't take care run with it. Come on, Davis, run with it. Then just take it run with it and carry come now, send it come read where the judge that said when the judge call them again.
Iniquitous.
No man, not that. The gullible defendants.
Yes.
Then just run go sell it to the gullible defendants. But they know they them gullible neighbor. Then just go tell them that. Because I know that none of them now go ask them how it for the cost. How it go happen, how it go work. Not up the man not tell the people them how it going work. Who go and pay for it. Where is the land that they go and give them? Where the land going came from? Then but they have land, the government have land they preserve near the development.
Yes.
So when you come out, I got show them the bases plate with nothing back of it. You don't go seek attention from your base.
Yes.
Because you hear the minister say it and you don't think about the car they come with. Because you know that the government dependent now look on it that way there. And that's why they could have used the paper that in it and give them paper where say they have possession, receipt of possession.
What a Psalm 5? What a Psalm 5 that was, sir?
Dependent on who say that can't stand up in the court. And that who will not be in the court.
What a Psalm 5 that?
So that is what the PMP been using over the years. To see the people who are checking the people to believe and say, look, this is how we can get and then continue to put them all years and years in and year out and get them vote. But
So,
the one thing the PMP never really realized, never. That pan there with the bucket guard, the belly bottom going chop out.
So Jesus asking if Jamaica plant money. When I listeners ask if Jamaica plant money, sir.
The PMP send them in the continue carry bucket guard the well neighbor. They not change the bucket and they not see it. They realize that boy time going come when they going need the bucket and they need to secure the bucket. They make the bucket bottom drop out.
Yes.
And it drop the bucket bottom drop out now. It has store up and whole arms nest and arms house upon them right now. And I cripple the entire organization.
Yes.
And the leadership come right down. When you look at the man who say my pipe will become the next prime minister of the country. When you listen to him on the mic up, when you realize he's no better than the current leader.
That's a Crawford, sir.
Opposition leader.
Crawford.
Because remember I tell you say my trickster, you know.
Well.
Yes, he don't keep broad later. Mr. Crawford didn't tell the country say my trickster.
Is he a trickster, sir?
The bar record.
Well, he's a Sheldon man.
So we restore them bar records and neighbors so they can't deny it.
Yeah, we know him as a Sheldon man, sir.
Yes, we can't deny it. It's in many people population Friday can't deny in the bar record. So when they do their wrongdoing, they don't fully become contagious public so then we and then that's for them be a face. In the last debate, it's a one thing can't tell the country say many people have been so you never hide on that. Be a face and that's no be a face the PMP is no shame in them game.
I see.
No shame in them game. Yes, when Mr. Top Time touch him and he can't take it no more and just come out with the brawling. He say yes, me many people. say they force the village and the people in my pool and take the people in period.
Yes, sir.
And the state and then go around the country and I say they're not involved. But you come and confirm with the people, say yes, you do it.
Yes.
And the village and the people go and trust us. They talk here already, they're stable person of this country that will never become prime minister of this country. And one goes individual remain at the PMP. The people of Jamaica will never see that organization as valuable to ever lead this country.
Go have to run you here, Nathaniel. Running out of time.
My individual name, it's the one name Mark Golden.
Yes.
He's about it. Yes, and Campbell, he and he, they say one time the individual remain at the people's criminal organization. The citizens of Jamaica will not see that organization as valuable to the country. Remember me tell you.
Fantastic. Have a great night, sir. Have a great night.
Michael Abraham write to them already and tell them that individual, you know.
Yes.
See Michael Abraham write them and tell them so these are some individuals at the part where they need to get rid of.
Yes. All right. I'm going to have to run. Have to run, Nathaniel.
Listen to this story where Michael Abraham write, you know, Mr. Neighbor. You know, really surprised me because I mean what the all of them you know coincide with them out coincide with Crawford. Yeah, right now you have one PMP against Rise United. Because they help them and push out my Mark Golden. Dean Jackson and the whole of them are coincide with this Crawford.
Yeah.
So far with Crawford team them depend.
Take care of yourself,
So
Nathaniel.
you can come back to the people, they have sympathy for them, but me not have none, but they can't treat me.
All right. Bye-bye, sir.
Yes.
Take care. Have to run.
Don't tell me
All right. Okay. Not hearing me. Member Harry.
Yes, neighbor.
Member Harry. As we head to the close, member. The Jamaican politics continue to disappoint me. I must tell you the truth with the type of discussions that are coming out, and the judge is right, Harry. There is a gullible set out there that needs to be protected, and I really hope, Harry, that the party, that's the Jamaica Labour Party, will really start itself to have some town hall meetings, to have some discussions with the people, so that they understand. Because these are very complex issues, Harry, and not all of our people are really able to understand a lot of it, the complexity of some of these conversations. But they need to be had, eh?
Of course, neighbor, it definitely does, and I'm calling it from the grassroots of things. So I'm looking at from the councillor's neighbor, even before we reach the member of parliament. All right. Let's put some workshops in place. Let get the information out there
Absolutely.
to these people. Right?
Yeah, agree with you.
Because at the end of the day, without these people being informed, you yourself as a potential elected person when an election is called will have to find yourself a run up and down and do some extra work that you may not need to had you done the hard work when you had the time. Right, and that in itself as well is a part of how we have built our politics, neighbor. And I think this present moment we're demanding better, we're demanding more, and the political arena has to change to first protect those who are naive, gullible, and
so when
and while
sorry,
and while both parties have a different take on it, because one exploits the vulnerable,
yes,
while painting a picture that they're helping them, right? The other takes the economic route to try and empower the vulnerable, but also you can't bring everything to them. You have to teach them to fish. You can't bring the fish to them every time. But I think Jamaicans have been caught up for far too long in the first mentioned way because it's easier. But we all know nothing that is worthwhile, neighbor, nothing that is good comes easy, and we as individuals have to put in the work to get there. And we've always said it. We have to plant trees and be happy and content with knowing that we might not get the shade from it.
Yes.
That is something we have to live and stand by. Make it become a pillar in every household. And that is how you change this from the ground up, where you create independence through hard work, through information, through edification. That way, we eradicate the dependency in the political arena. And that's how we'll have Jamaica move forward.
Let me ask you this.
No way. Conversation.
Let me ask you this, Harry. Isn't it clear?
Go ahead, neighbor.
Isn't it clear? I hope you're hearing me. I'm seeing my screen shifting here. So, isn't it clear that there seems to be an effort, in my view, to create a dependent society? That's one party's ideology. Government must give you the land. And the other message that I'm hearing is government must create the conditions under which you can acquire land, build your own wealth, and become economically independent. So there is it's almost a definition of what a citizen is, in that one party is trying to produce dependency and the other party is trying to produce citizens or citizenship. Is that how you see
it? That is exactly how it is, neighbor. Because both parties' ideology and political strategy differs vastly.
Yes.
One ensures, and let me break it down. The Jamaica Labour Party, because they're so good, they're exceptional when it comes on to governance, governing, and handling an economy, which is what you need to empower people, because that is how you get resources. For example, in the last decade, we've been able to now have money to resurface roads, to rehabilitate roads. We've now been able to build new hospitals, refurbish clinics and other healthcare infrastructure, to put in a $1 billion maintenance fund, right? To give rather, when you look at food security, to give rather the most help, both financially and otherwise, that has gotten in the modern day Jamaica to push Jamaica food security. You do that through proper economic management, prudent investment, and the biggest investment you can do is in its people. While the other, on the next hand neighbor, ensures that we're here for the political power. We just want to be at the top. So we are going to ensure you depend on us. And we will wield any three-card trick, any strategy that don't promote you, the people, to be better, so you can see through our shortcomings. This is about ensuring that I can put a glass ceiling over your eye, trick you, and let you believe in something that's utopic that will never be done. And we can use the example as to land ownership and land reformation, neighbor. People as far back as 64 years in Jamaica are sticking to our independence, the symbolism of it. 64 years. And they have been unable to properly speak to the Jamaican people and to say, we have ensured that Jamaican people in our 31 or 32 years at the helm by the People's National Party was able to achieve this. They can't. None of them can stand firm and look at it. And they've had the longest run, the longest reign in Jamaica's history as a political party and as a government, and could even achieve 5% of the then aspirations of Jamaicans. Just 5. At the best time where the Western Hemisphere was booming, and they failed the people in more ways than one. And that is the strategy. One is hoping to hold you down so you can't see or be better than them. The other is saying, I am challenging you to force us to be better. Give us new proposals. Give us bigger dreams. Let us wonder in meetings, how are we going to achieve what the Jamaican people have dreamt? We've done so much. How can we go to another level and another level? Because the reward for this government is even harder work, is bigger dreams, is more aspirations. It's getting to a world standard that our forefathers could even fathom. But we have an opposition that rather keeps you in the ideology and the mental state of what we stepped away from 64 years ago. It's a mental form of slavery. And they have fought tooth and nail for half of that 64 years to maintain that status quo. And that is worrying for Jamaica. And they should ensure, I don't want them beat down PNP in a neighbor. I want them to increase their level of thinking so much that the People's National Party is not even in the rear view of the viability car to be thought about when going to the polls until they learn to step to the plate and put Jamaica first and put its people first, because that's the only way any political party in Jamaica should ever be elected. It is time we put performance, we vote on it. It is time we hold governments to higher standards and political parties, and to treat it with extreme prejudice, neighbor. Call it for what it is. If you aren't good enough, be comfortable as a people to say you are not viable and you should step aside. Call it out. And you do it so based on your choice. And I'm not preaching for 4th term, 5th term, 6th term. I am preaching for Jamaicans to look at how you evaluate leadership, governance. Who has your best interest at heart? Who creates the opportunity you've been begging for? And who answers the prayers that you've prayed for? And even your grandparents and forefathers prayed for, because some of us, neighbor, in the last decade are living answered prayers because of what the administration has done. And we have to take that seriously as a people.
Excellent. We're out of time. Fantastic. We will have to pick up this conversation tomorrow. Land reform in Jamaica. Cooper Spend. That's where we're pivoting. Land reform. PNP suggesting 600,000 people should get piece of land in Jamaica. Harry says it's reckless. It's irresponsible. It will cost the government more than $900 billion, which means the government would have to raise taxes to fund it. Are you prepared for it? The discussions continue tomorrow on the Politics Matter Jamaica Network, the Hello Neighbor Show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And please come out again tomorrow when we will have another program lined up for you. Until then, your neighbor signing off and saying to you, continue to support the program. Please remember that your gifts and contributions are necessary to keep us going from strength to strength, from glory to glory. Hallelujah. Amen. Take care, YouTube, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Okay? Bye-bye. All right, TikTok. As usual, let me play something for you and send you off to your bed. But I have to run you here. So okay, let's pick this up. What a great show tonight. I enjoyed it.